Welcome in, everyone. My name is Madeline. We're going to give it about a minute or two before we get started. So if you want to just hang out near your computer, you can keep yourself muted, keep your camera off for about 2 minutes, just to let everyone arrive, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, my name is Madeline. I am the NSHSS Community Development Coordinator. And so you'll see me at a lot of these events. I do a lot with NSHSS, and I oftentimes will be hosting most of these events. And we are here tonight for our Build a Business workshop. So everyone, this is a workshop. So we do want you to be actively involved in this. This is meant to be interactive, to get you all involved. So we would love for you all to have your cameras on for this event today. So if you're in a space where you can, we welcome it. We ask you to do that because the more you can interact with us, the more you're going to get out of this workshop. So to get things started, I'm going to turn things over to our event host tonight, have her introduce herself to you all, and then we're going to go ahead and get started.
So thank you, Maddie. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Build a Business workshop. So I just wanted to start off by introducing myself and what I do. So my name is Khushi, and I have been an NSHSS ambassador for a little bit over a year now. And I'm a current junior in high school from Illinois, but I'll be graduating a year early this year to just really take a gap year and focus on my passions with entrepreneurship. The business I have is called eCode, and eCode is a smart irrigation system and app that I have developed a few years ago and I've been working on for the past few years. Recently, I collaborated with people from Forbes Ignite, which is a branch of Forbes, to work with Forbes 30 Under 30 winners, as well as other innovators to work on sustainability projects. And I've learned and shared a lot about entrepreneurship along the way. So I thought that I'd like to share a little bit with you through the form of a workshop and hopefully inspire you to take your innovations to the next level as well. Quick note about the event before we get started. The first thing that we'll be doing is learning a lot about entrepreneurship. Some of you might already know some of this information as I'll be covering a lot of the basics today, but hopefully you also learned something new along today's journey. In the workshop, you'll be working with a lot of new people. So there will be parts where you guys will be put into breakout rooms to work with each other. And I know that it might be a little bit intimidating to work with people that you might have not met before, but trust me, collaboration will really take you places today. So please just try your best to get to know each other and at least for the sake of this activity, work together. And I want this to be a fun and interactive event for everyone. So if there's any parts of the event where you have any feedback, I definitely love to hear it. And also at the end, I'll be doing a little Q&A session. So if you have any questions that come up along the way, just be sure to take a note of them and we can ask them at the end. But if you have any pressing questions, just send me a message in the chat and I'll try my best to check that. And speaking of the chat, I will share a quick document that we'll be using for all of the activities today. So I think it should be on view only for now, but once you guys get into breakout rooms, if you want to make a copy of it and share it with the people that you're working with, you can all collaborate on it together. And also a quick note for the document, just try not to work ahead on any activities, since after each breakout room session, you guys will be coming back and we'll be learning a little bit more before we go back into the activities. So does anyone have any questions before we get started? Awesome. So I will pull up these slides again and we can begin. Great. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about when starting a business, something that you have to have is passion. When it comes to entrepreneurship or any projects in general, I've learned that you have to love your ideas in order to really be able to take them to the next level. And when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work at all. This isn't something that can be forced. So it's really important that you think about what you're passionate about before you start a project. And just to get us started, why don't you guys drop some things that you're passionate about in the chat? It can be literally anything. Like for me, some of the things that I'm most passionate about are entrepreneurship, public speaking, sustainability, technology. Awesome. These are some great ideas. I see music, mental health popping up a lot. So hopefully these will kind of get you thinking as we start today's workshop. And once again, please make sure that once we get started on the activities, you only stay on the activity that we're on. And I will pull up activity 1 now that you guys know a little bit about passion and kind of explain what this activity will be about. Once again, the link to the activity is in the chat if you guys need to see it once you're in breakout rooms. So this is the worksheet that you'll be seeing once you're in breakout rooms. And at the top, you might have more than one partner. I'm not really sure yet, but once you're in breakout rooms, you guys can share this with each other. And here you'll see it says activity 1. And if you have more than 2 people in your breakout room, it's completely fine. You can do this the same way. But for partner A and partner B, if that's what you were to have, each one of you is going to highlight what you feel most passionate about in this table under your column. I know you might not be passionate about those topics very much, but just choose one that you gravitate towards the most. And from there, you guys are going to combine those 2 words to create a unique product or service that includes both of those areas. So it can be anything. Feel free to be super creative with it, but just make sure it's not super out of this world. And there's also a spot on the worksheet for you guys to briefly explain your idea. So that's going to be the basis for this workshop. So when you're coming up with something, just make sure that you know it can go somewhere. And I'm excited to see where you guys take it from there. So does anyone have any questions before we go into breakout rooms? Awesome. So Madeline, if you could help me make breakout rooms.
Yep, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and make the breakout rooms. We're going to have about 2 to 3 people per room. So you all can work with one another. If you have any questions while you're in those breakout rooms, let us know. You're going to be in this activity for about 15 minutes, I believe. We're going to have you in there talking about it. So just let us know. And then as you're coming out of that breakout room, you'll get a quick message in there and we'll pull you back to the room. So the breakout rooms are created now, and you are more than welcome to go join your room, get started, and let us know if you have any questions. Welcome back, everyone. How's it going so far? Thumbs up, good, kind of okay, or thumbs down? Not sure. Thumbs up? Okay, I'm glad we got some thumbs up. Everyone should be joining us soon. The breakouts will be closing shortly.
Was everyone able to get the activity done in the time? Thumbs up, maybe? Yes?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Do we have everyone back?
I believe so.
Awesome. So I will go ahead and share my screen again, and we can take a look at the next portion. So now that you guys have figured out your passions for this project and hopefully what your product is with a brief informal description, we'll be moving on to the problem statement and value hypothesis. So to break this down, I guess one important thing to keep in mind is when you're starting a business or developing a product, it's really important to make sure that there's actually a need for your product or service. As silly as it sounds, sometimes entrepreneurs realize later on in their journey that they're solving a problem that doesn't even exist, and that often can be the cause to overall failure of your product in the market. So it's really important to make sure that you define what your problem is. So that's basically what the problem statement is. You're just defining what the problem is that you're solving. And the next thing that you guys will be making after the problem statement is your value hypothesis, or in more simple terms, explaining how your product or service will solve the problem that you just defined. And sometimes while you're going through this process, you might realize that you have to reevaluate your product or service, depending on whether you realize that there's not really a problem you're solving or that your product doesn't actually solve that problem. And that's completely okay. You know, if you guys realize that you might have to redesign your product or service, that's completely okay. Go ahead and do that now, because it's better to get that over with in the earlier stages of your business than to put it off and then realize later on that it's just not going to work. So for me personally, giving an example, like I mentioned earlier, for those of you that aren't here, I'm the founder and CEO of eCode, which is a smart irrigation system. So to keep it pretty brief, there's two portions to that business. So to start off with my problem statement, or how I came up with my problem statement, a few years ago, I took a family trip to India, and I saw a lot of people suffering with not having access to clean water. And so I decided to do some research on that, and I realized that we do have a lot of water around the world. It's just not being allocated properly in the places that it should be. And I saw that a lot of water is being allocated towards irrigation, when in reality, that number can be dropped by billions and billions of liters. So I decided that the problem that I wanted to solve was the inequality of water due to overusage of water in the irrigation industry. So try to be as specific as possible with your problem statement, and also keep that in mind with your hypothesis. So obviously my product that I designed is the solution to that problem in some terms. And my product basically consists of sensors that are connected to an app that make irrigation happen only when it needs to happen, considering weather forecasts and the requirement of water for plants. So I decided to keep all of those factors in mind and my overall problem statement in mind while I was developing my hypothesis and product. So does anyone have any questions about that? I know that was kind of fast. Awesome. If not, I'll quickly go over activity 2. So activity 2 on the same worksheet will basically help you define your problem statement and your value hypothesis, things that we just covered. So it's pretty open. There's just a spot for you to write both of those down. There are some specific technical ways that you guys can write those. So when I come around to breakout rooms, if you want to do it those ways, just ask and I can explain them to you. But just to keep it basic, I'll leave it pretty open and vague. And yeah, you guys can head on back to your breakout rooms and I'll pop around and see what you guys have come up with. And once again, if you have any questions, sorry.
No, you're good.
Once again, if you have questions, just drop them in the chat anytime.
Yep, and I'm just going to go ahead and open up those breakout rooms again. It'll be the same rooms as last time. And so you're going to be in those breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. That's how long you're going to have to work on this. So make sure to keep track of time. And remember, towards the end, we're going to want to share some of our ideas. So make sure you've got some notes down, some points to talk about for the end. And we're really excited to hear your ideas. So I'm going to open up those rooms. And you are welcome to go join those. For anyone who has just joined the room, I'm going to add you to some breakout rooms. And we are working on activity 2 in the worksheet. So when you get in there, your group mates can catch you up to speed and you can start working with them. All right, you can go ahead and join your rooms. Start recording and we'll let them come back.
So.
All right, welcome back, everyone.
All right. Did everyone have enough time to complete that activity? Kind of. Yes, hopefully. If you guys struggled, hopefully you'll have a little bit more time as we move on to the next section. But if you guys, even after that, are falling behind, that's okay. We can just go back into breakout rooms for a little bit longer. Awesome. So I guess everyone's in different places, which is completely fine. Sorry, I couldn't make it to all the breakout rooms, but the rooms that I went to, I heard some really, really interesting conversations. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. But I will share my slides and we can move on to the next big part. And I was actually just talking to a student about this, but the next part is target market. And this is one of the biggest components to your business is knowing and providing for your target market. So when you're designing a product or a service, you need to make sure that you understand who it's actually designed for. So for example, for someone trying to sell pencils, just keeping it super basic, their target market might be students in school, people who go to work in person, teachers. It's just really knowing who you're selling your idea to. And these are the people that you're going to be getting the most sales from. So when you're coming up with your target market, you need to make sure that you're being as specific as you possibly can be. So an example that I like to give is the example of energy drinks. So for example, if you were in the energy drink business for whatever reason, coming up with your target market, someone's first response might be, my target market is younger people, teenagers, people in their 20s. But when you really think about it, not everyone that's a teenager might be buying your product, or not everyone that's in their 20s might be buying your product. You might say more specifically, teenagers who play sports. That's a really nice and specific target market that gets the large majority of your consumers. And this, having your target market, helps make sure that you're advertising wisely, because you might not advertise the same to all age and diverse groups. And this will also help you maximize your revenue, or in other words, the money that you're making. So now we're just going to take some time to think about that for activity 3, whatever that might be for your specific product. I'll try my best to hop around a little bit more in the breakout rooms this time to just make sure and see everyone's on the right track. But for activity 3, The two questions that you're going to be answering are, who is your target market, trying to be as specific as possible, and then how may you best advertise your idea to this market. So advertising can be social media, billboards, TV ads, your website that you might create, but there's also a lot of more outside the box ideas. So if you have time, try to think about those as well. And yeah, I will be here if you guys have any questions. If not, you can hop back into the breakout rooms, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and open up those breakout rooms. You are going to have about 5 minutes to talk about this. So go ahead, join those rooms. They should be open now. And I'll see you all in 5 minutes. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. All right, everyone should be back with us.
Awesome. So how did everyone feel about that? I know I couldn't get around to all the groups, but I tried to go to the groups that I didn't talk to before, and I'm loving all your ideas. Everyone feeling okay? Awesome. So we can move on to our next point here, which are called pain points. So a pain point is basically something that might cause an issue. Some people like to call their problem statement or like the issues that they're solving pain points. So that can also be another use for this word. But I like to use it after I come up with my ideas to see really like what my issues are with my product. And I know nobody likes to talk about what may be wrong with their product, but it's definitely something that you need to talk about in order to be successful with the business. So while it's great to have a successful business that's just very successful right off the bat, try to fail as early as you can in the business so you can improve and succeed in the long run, which is overall more important when you look at it from a wider perspective. And we can start this process by identifying our pain points or things that might make our product not the best for our target market. So sometimes this can lead to a whole new problem statement or a whole new product or value hypothesis. And that's okay, because like I said, it's better to fail earlier in the business than later on. So it's important to use customer feedback for improvements. And obviously you guys don't have that right now, but you can definitely pretend that you do, or you can pretend that you're a customer or consumer that might be using your product or service, and kind of really think about, from an outsider's perspective, how will they react to this product? Or if you were a part of the target market, do you really think that you would buy it for like the price point that you're thinking, or just for the overall purpose of the product? So there's a lot of different things that you can think about when it comes to pain points. It doesn't just have to be pricing. The possibilities are completely endless for this. So if you guys have questions on that, I can definitely come around and ask you some questions pretending to be your target market if that helps you get started with your thinking. But kind of going over to activity 4, hopefully that will help you do that. And what you're going to be doing, looking at the worksheet, is you're just going to be working together to identify some possible pain points in your product or service, as well as thinking about how you can solve these issues, because that's how you're going to better your business. So you might find it helpful to come up with some potential additional details about your business, such as the price, possible competition, availability. Obviously, these things don't have to be like statistically proven right now. You can just make them up and just come up with random numbers as long as they're reasonable. And right now I have 3 spots for you to put a pain point and a possible solution. But if you come up with more than 3, that's absolutely amazing. Just feel free to add more. And if you guys don't have any questions now, we can go back into breakout rooms and work on some pain points.
All right, everyone, the breakout rooms are open. And you're going to have about 10 minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody.
Okay, so how is everyone doing with pain points? Are we feeling okay? Thumbs up if we're doing okay. Awesome. So I know that some of you were able to come up with more than others, and that's completely okay. I also know a group redesigned their product completely, which is totally fine. I think that was really cool to see how they completely rebranded their idea and came up with a whole new problem statement and just went from the beginning. And, as much as you don't want to have to do that, it happens, and usually happens for the best. So I know someone said that they didn't get to finish. Hopefully you'll have a little bit more time in the next section to carry that over if you need to. The next section will be a little bit longer, but I just wanted to go over it so you guys can go back into your groups and get started if you need it to. Right. So this part is the real fun part, is pitching your product or service. So once you have gathered all of the previous things that we discussed and figured out today, it's usually a good time to start pitching to earn funding, connections, partners for your business and service, so you can actually take it out into the real world and start making some revenue. And obviously the things that I covered today are just the bare minimum, some of the big points that you should be hitting, but there's a lot in between. So if you definitely want to talk about those things, I'll leave my contact information at the end and we can reach out and talk about some of those things. But I just wanted to keep it super basic today. But the key to a successful pitch, once you have these things, is to figure out how you are going to present yourself and your business. A lot of times, from what I've learned, most investors and possible partners are looking for entrepreneurs that are entertaining but professional and are very passionate about their idea. I think passion and being entertaining and professional and just being put together overall is super, super important. You could have all of those attributes and not have your idea figured out at all, and people will still want to invest in you as an entrepreneur, which is always a great thing to have. And it's also important to keep your pitch brief, but still informative. So when I say keep it brief and informative, it probably won't be a good idea to just have, a 2-minute pitch and then just completely go on a rant about like all your different statistics and what your product does. You want to make it entertaining. You want to keep it engaging for those that are listening, and you want to keep it short and sweet. You don't want to talk too much about certain things, but you also don't want to leave certain things out. So I know it sounds really intimidating, but the more and more you do it, the more practice you have with it, the easier it gets. But before we go into activity 5, I want you guys to drop in the chat, what things do you think would make a fun, engaging, informative pitch? And these can be complete wild guesses if you don't know either. Engaging the investor, props. Those are both great things. Sometimes when you start a pitch, you might want to start off with a story, a question, something to get the investor interested. Game, personal stories, drawing from your experiences. Props is always a great one. If you have a prototype or something to show, that's always one of the best things you can do, is actually bring your product and show them what your idea is. Confidence, I love that. That's so important. You need to act like you can sell anything in the world. And you have most likely got someone sold on your product. Elevator speeches. Yes, a pitch is very similar to an elevator speech, but it might have a few differences, but it's very similar. Awesome. These are fantastic ideas. So as you guys, before you go into breakout rooms, I will drop a quick link in the chat of a very brief pitch that I put together for my company, eCode. And I'll say this was for a competition that I did, so I didn't need to include my pricing and all of that in there. But make sure that you guys try to cover those things if you can. This is just a very brief outline of how you might want to project yourself and some of the things that you want to include. So, but definitely feel free to add, remove, do whatever you need to do to make this your own. So make it unique to you and just have fun with it. There's no judgment. But when we come back, we'll be presenting these to the rest of the group. So I think that's going to be super, super exciting to see what everyone's come up with. So please just try your best to do the best you possibly can on this. And I will drop that link in the chat before we head on over back into breakout rooms. And once again, I'll be coming around. So if any of you have any questions about the pitch, just want to test out some ideas, I'm here for it. And the link is in the chat whenever you guys are ready.
Yep, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms now. I'm going to give you guys about 15 minutes to start. If anyone's having some hard time, just let me know. But we're going to go for about 15 minutes. So go right ahead and get started.
All right. Awesome. So did everyone feel like we had enough time to at least come up with something that's fairly presentable? It doesn't have to be super professional or anything. Thumbs up, thumbs down, let me know in the chat. Sort of. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so for the most part, it looks like we're doing okay. If you guys need to continue to work on your document while we're going, that's also fine. But now this is the extra fun part where we all get to present our idea to the rest of the group. And I know someone asked me if they were getting feedback on their pitch. And I said, that's completely up to you. If you guys want me to write down my thoughts on your pitch and then share it with you after, just feel free to send me a message in the private chat before you go, and I will be sure to do that for you. But are there any volunteers that want to go first? Okay, Sai, if your group wants to go.
Hi, my name is Sai, and the software company that we started is called VR Fashion. And for a quick instance, I just want you to picture this. So you're on a Saturday afternoon and you saw that new Calvin Klein jacket come out, and you really want to buy it, but you don't want to go to the store, try it on and everything. So you end up not buying it because, you wouldn't know how you look in it. That is why big brands like Calvin Klein, Gucci, all of them are losing sales every day, because most customers, like Khushi, just doesn't want to buy the jacket because she doesn't know how it looks on her. Well, VR Fashion offers those big brands a solution to that by building a software that allows the user who is using it to scan their body, and then whichever clothing that company offers, they can do a virtual try on. This way, they know what they look like in the clothes that they would like to see. And big brands like Calvin Klein will make much more revenue this way. And the main pricing points that we're offering is because these are much bigger brands, we can afford to price it aggressively. And so a one-time investment with us would be $500,000. And we understand that not everyone has that kind of capital to start up with. So we also offer a monthly subscription fee of $20,000. So that way, the smaller businesses that don't have the capital up front, they could be making sales using this software and then using revenue that they got from those sales to pay us back for it. So if you want to support your biggest brands and help them make more sales so that they stay in business longer, please support VR Fashions. Thank you.
Awesome. That was a fabulous pitch. Round of applause for that group. Yes, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, I wrote down some questions just as, like a pretend potential investor. So anyone in your group's eye, feel free to answer these questions. But so are you thinking of licensing your app to other brands? So I know, maybe Calvin Klein might not be okay with you just featuring their products on your app. So how would you handle that? Would you collaborate with them? Would you pay them? Are they paying you? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we understand that major brands like Calvin Klein got there because of their branding. And if they feature our product, then it might take away from their branding. So yeah, so this is a licensing so that they can keep their brand. And then we could also get our share of the revenue, because we understand that if they feature our product, it will be more like advertising and people might lose faith in them.
Sure. And one more question. How would you guys plan to deal with competition? There might be other brands that come up with a very similar idea. I know not potentially for clothes, but I know some like eyewear, glasses brands have this kind of service where before you purchase a frame, you can kind of see it on your face. And, I could see other companies potentially working towards what you have. So how would you deal with that? And what really makes your product stand out?
Well, for starters, we're a much smaller company, so we would offer better customer service, because that is something that the bigger companies just won't be able to offer, because, the bigger you get, you have so many clients to deal with that each client gets less and less attention. And so when brands can choose us, they can trust us to give them the support they need if they have any questions, anything like that. And we can offer them more customer service. So that is why we think that they would be preferring us over the bigger companies, because we can give more attention to them.
Fantastic. I love that. Does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask this group? You could just speak out, or if you want to put it in the chat. Okay, so Kaylana said, we would play our strengths. We would want our customers to know that we are a more intimate organization, meaning we're more small-based company. Yeah, I love that. I really like that personalized customer service idea. I think it's always fantastic when companies have good relationships with your customers, because then they're going to recommend you to their friends and family. And from there, your company's just going to grow more and more. So that's a really good answer.
I had a question.
Go for it.
So when it comes to approximating, I guess, real life situation, because we know that with software, sometimes we have this feature where it doesn't matter what kind of, if you're taking a picture, it kind of doesn't show exactly, how real it is, and it might omit some features on the users. So I feel like it could lead to some unrealistic experiences that when the product actually comes to these people, they are sort of not happy with how it turns out, because we know that it's different. And that we also have known about companies where they kind of embellish the product online and it's not really how it looks um, towards people. So how do you account for that?
Right. So the problem that you're addressing is, I mean, all we do is we provide the software. So I think what you mean is when the brand themselves make the clothes look different to make it more appealing to that body type or something like that. And so if that is the issue, then that's completely on the brand themselves. We're strictly focused on serving the company in terms of software support. Like if they don't understand something or if something goes down, we offer them technical support. This issue would be more on the brand themselves. And if they were to do that, then they would get bad customer service anyway. So I don't think they would do that. But to answer your question, that would be on the brand themselves. We wouldn't be involved in that aspect of the, because we're a licensing company. We do B2B model. So because the brand that we're dealing with is a business to consumer model, they would have to deal with the back end of if the product doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like or something like that.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. That makes sense, because I also was thinking about how after you give out the product to these companies, it goes towards um, your kind of credibility, like the feedback from these people also can be used by you to make your product even better, because that's really what the goal is, to stay in business and make it better. So thank you.
Kaylana also added a very good idea in the chat of having a virtual customer assistant on standby that can help provide real-time assistance to customers. I love that. It's a fantastic feature to have on your site as well. Does anyone have any more questions for this group? All right, perfect. We can move on to our next group. Do we have any volunteers? I think Garsham raised his hand. If you want to go ahead.
Yes, I'll go ahead. I have a little presentation. All right. Can you see the screen? Can everybody see the screen? Yes, great. Okay. Now, the profile picture on my Zoom is not me, that's my dad, for all who are wondering. I'm not that old, I'm much younger, and I look way more handsome. So, so we have this app. The idea that we got was this app called Don't Delay, because this app boosts productivity, it helps with focusing, and what we say when we use this app is work while you work and play while you play. And this basically is talking about you focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on. Don't get carried away by, let's say, social media apps, or don't get carried away when something else happens in the room, or don't get carried away with things that basically waste your time. The problem we have is procrastination. Procrastination is a huge issue and can be detrimental to a student's success. And there's also a big problem with failure to manage time and not meeting set goals. And this problem is what causes a lot of students, a lot of brilliant students who have a lot of actual ability. They just don't know how to manage their time, and so they can't reach their full potential. And by not reaching their full potential, they're not able to succeed in life in general. They cannot get higher education. They cannot, and so they just lower their chances of becoming very successful because of the simple problem of procrastination, which affects every one of us, right? And so the solution to this problem is the app Don't Delay. And this app is for pre-college and college students, because when you think about it, the time in which a lot of us really start to focus on our studying is during like in our high school years and like during our high school years and maybe late middle school for those who are nerds and crazy about studying. That's when you get into that. And so this app would be very beneficial for those in their high school years. And so this app would have study music for when you're studying, and the studying music would be music that is proven by research to boost productivity by activating the right brain waves. So your brain is in a more relaxed state and in a state in which you can receive information and process information correctly versus being stressed out over, for example, deadlines. So you're just focusing and you're tunneling in on whatever problem you're facing. So we have study music. Workout music also is great for focusing, and music during working out can really help you focus on working out whatever part of your body you're wanting to work out. And this app would also have another feature in which you collaborate with other students, because this is mainly focused towards studying. So you can chat, you can talk with other students within the app, and you can ask questions regardless of what subject you have a problem with. You can talk to other students and come up with answers. Now, this is just the app, and this app is going to be cross-platform. So you can have it on Apple, you can have it on your Android devices. You can also access it via a web dashboard. So you will have no problems managing your information or editing your playlists or anything like that. And it comes with an earpiece for listening to music. So if you want to help support this company, you could buy the earpiece. So this earpiece has great battery life, great audio quality, and those two are what many earpieces, like earbuds, fail to offer because they are done by mass producers. So they focus more on quantity rather than quality, whereas we focus on quality. And this app can also be used offline. So the mobile version can be used offline without Wi-Fi or mobile data in it. Just so if you go to an area, let's say you go to rural location, maybe you want to work out in the countryside where you don't have access to internet, or you're in a place where internet is not available, or let's say your data runs out, what's going to happen then? So this app can be used offline as well. Now, the paid feature would be to import playlists from Spotify and Apple Music, because that's something that's really nice to have. And that's it.
Sorry, I was on mute. Awesome presentation. Kudos to you and your group for that. One part that I especially loved about your presentation is that you included background, kind of giving information about what your problem statement is and what you're solving. That's always a really nice thing to do when you are working on something like this. One question that I had for you,
Yes.
from a potential investor consumer standpoint, is how is this product unique, or I guess for the lack of a better word, why would it be needed for your target market? Like, I know personally for me and a lot of my friends, we're very used to, just going on our Spotify for music, going to maybe Google Calendar for, managing our work, and then just like going to a fitness app for, getting our workouts in. So I really like your idea of combining everything, but potentially how would you make this more unique so the consumer actually has a need for it?
All right. Going off of what you said and mentioned about integrating Google Calendar, that also would be great. That would be a great extra feature to add. We didn't think of that, but now that thinking about it from a student point of view, especially now in the virtual, we're having a lot of virtual classes now. Even if it is dying down, it's still very much so the immediate future of studying. So definitely we would be adding a calendar feature in here to manage time, your schedule, as this is a app to combat procrastination. We definitely would need something like that. And as for potential investors, this is more so targeted towards an individual rather than a great group of people. So this, all the investors in this app would have to be the users themselves. They could support us by buying the earpiece and also buying or just paying to get the extra feature as to import the playlist from Spotify and Apple Music. And that would greatly help support the app's development. So maybe more features can be added in the future.
Awesome. And how do you see a pricing model or a revenue model for your business? So is this just a one-time fixed listing that you're selling to your consumers? Are you licensing it out to schools or organizations? Is it subscription-based? What do you see that being like?
I personally see this as being non-subscription based. So once the user pays for it, they pay for it once and they have it for life. And the way in which revenue would come would be by recommendation. So as this app is going to integrate all the very common apps and platforms that we use together into one, as we advertise this app across YouTube, across within schools. So you could talk about it to your classmates as well, and whoever you're collaborating with. And the greater the user base grows, the greater the money that we get from the app would be.
Okay, fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for this group? Yeah, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, so actually I have one. So how can this app be offline? Because usually with music you actually have to stream it. So how does that work offline if you how does it work offline?
Well, that's a great question. Usually offline music for Spotify is a paid version. So Spotify Premium would be how you get music to be offline. I don't use Apple Music personally, but I know others use it, so I wouldn't know how that would work. But as for the calendar, as for the study music and the workout music, all of those would be, you would have an option to download them. So you would have like a little download icon next to whatever music you're really enjoying, and you could save that. So the app would save that locally to your phone. So you could listen to whatever your favorite music is whenever you choose to go offline or whenever your phone happens to be offline for some reason.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions? All right, perfect. We can move on to the next group, if you guys are okay with that. Actually, someone just put something into the chat if you want to address that.
Oh, okay. In our English hallway, we have a list of resources we have. Kali music. Yes. In our English hallway, we have a list of resources such as lo-fi music or calming music. I think this would be advertised as a nicer alternative to those. Yeah, so we could definitely add the lo-fi music and calming music as well into it, because I've also seen this a lot on YouTube. Like on my YouTube recommended, I just see lo-fi music live, and then like a lot of people are just listening and tuning in and listening to it. So that would definitely be an extra feature that we could add into this app. Yes.
All right. Priya, do you have your hand raised to go next?
Yeah, I would like to go next.
Okay, sure. Gershom, if you could please stop sharing your screen. Priya, I don't know if you have something you want to share.
No, I don't have anything to share.
Okay, no worries. You can go whenever you're ready.
So guys, first I want to ask you a question. So choose which shopping mall you would go to. So just type it in the chat. You have two options. The first one is a shopping mall that has low price clothes. And option B is a shopping mall which has music and entertainment. So is it A or B? The first one is a shopping mall that has low price clothes. And the second one is a shopping mall which has music and entertainment. I see an A. Okay, so it doesn't matter which choice you choose because our store has both options. So our shop's name is ShopTrack. So you have both options in the question that I asked just now. So you can listen to your favorite songs while you're shopping. It's a shopping mall with music in the background, like, and it also has like low cost clothes. Our target audience is like middle class people and poor people who don't have enough clothes to wear. When a customer enters the shopping mall, they get to enter their favorite song in a jukebox, and that jukebox is played while they are in the shop. So our like problem statement is like there are too expensive clothes at shopping malls right now, and there's no entertainment, like there's no music. So our goal is to like provide middle class people and poor people to get clothes for cheap price so that they can also purchase enough clothes.
Yes, and our shop, our like tagline of our shop is a fun musical shopping experience, low cost clothes in this musical world. Listen to what you like and purchase what you think is worth it.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. Starting off with some feedback, I loved how both of you split that up. That was really nice. Also, I really liked how you started off by engaging your investor, potential consumer with a question. That's always a great way to really get your consumer or target market thinking about why they essentially need your service. One question that I had from my end is, how do you see yourself making this a larger scale business? So are you just going to have one location and just try to maximize your revenue from that? Or are you potentially going to have multiple locations? How do you see that working?
So first, we're going to have like a small shop at the beginning, like at one location. So as they're like low price clothes, it's going to be a big mall at one location. So as like the prices are low, we're definitely like I have the confidence that we're going to get like more profits. Like there are more middle class and poor people in the world. So like I think we'll get more profits, and based on those profits, we'll try to increase our shop as we could like to many other places in the United States.
Awesome. So another question, or I'll just ask both of my questions now so you guys can tackle those however you want. The first one is, are you going to be making your own clothes? Are you licensing clothes from other brands? And then my second question is, how are you going to advertise this to people?
Okay.
Sorry.
That's a good question.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Yeah, because that, yeah. I guess we could start off like licensing clothes, because like it's going to take like a lot like of people to like make our own clothes and everything. So I think we could start off by licensing, and then as the profits start rolling in, we could think about making our own clothing from there. And then the other question, it was what was it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's how are you planning to market this to other people?
Okay. Of course, through like social media, radio advertising, and TV advertising still works too. So I guess all forms of like mass media.
Awesome. Does anyone from the audience have any questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
So, the goal is to focus on the cheap price and the entertainment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, like the mall we have here is that when you go to the mall outside, they have music that's playing, and that's for the whole mall, so like the whole institution. But then when you go in, you have all these different stores who are playing their own separate music. And so how does that work as well? Because the mall is not only one specific shop, right? Or it's not like all these different shops are not selling the same, type of clothing. And when it comes to the jukebox, I'm not sure for the music. So I have an experience with that. When we go to the bowling alley, we have something like that where people choose what kind of music they want to play. And so what happens is that um, we have these conflicting kind of choice recommendations in terms of music that kind of makes it harder to work together. I feel like collaborate or just be in that type of space. So I just was wondering how you're thinking about tackling those um issues, I guess.
Yeah, those are good issues. Do you want to answer, Priya, and I could just like come in after you?
Yeah. So like instead of a shopping mall, think of it as a store. So when a person enters, there is like a computer screen. So the person like think of it like a YouTube playlist maybe. So the person can search the YouTube video that they like and add it into the playlist. And while they're in the shop, we'll try to like play all the songs that the people chose.
Oh, so you're saying it's a like system that just works for each store, like all the stores at the same time,
Yeah.
based on the person's recommendations. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Are there any other questions for this group? All right, if not, we have two more groups. So do either of you want to volunteer to go?
We can go.
I think both of you raise your hands at the same time.
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
It's up to you guys, whoever wants to go.
That's fine. You go.
All right. Our product is AP, and AP is a product that help a student that is taking AP college course to prepare for their AP exam. And yeah, and you keep talking about that, Ruhi.
Yes, so how we came up with this problem with this product was that when we got together, I feel like, and we chose what we all liked, the first thing that came up was that we as scholars are taking AP classes and AP exams, and we're all worried about how those are going to play out. So in my personal opinion, when I first started taking these AP exams, I had counselors, but at the end of the day, they had multiple students to take care of. So how do I make sure I'm navigating this? How do we make sure that students, teachers, and counselors are able to help one another and navigate this, how to take these AP courses while also trying to finish the year in a brilliant or positive manner? So this is where our product comes in, not only to help those students, but for teachers, counselors, and parents to be able to help best the students. So we also decided that the best way to increase the availability of this product is to offer it at a moderate price, like a one-time payment or offer for a lifetime subscription, I guess is what you can call it.
And with our product, your next AP test could result in a 5.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That was a great pitch. I loved how you put that personal touch there and kind of explained why this would be helpful to your target market and how maybe you're potentially a part of that market and how you would take this product. So I had a few questions for you. So my first one is, how or what makes your product unique in comparison to all of the other AP study materials out there?
I think for one thing for us specifically is how after the pandemic hit, things have been shifting a bit. If someone has taken the AP exam and has written about it back in 2008 or 2016, it is not the same experience we get. For example, we were working on reviewing the AP Chem exam today, but last year they changed the layout. And someone who was back in the days is like writing about the experience, it is not the same thing, so we are offering more, I guess, up to date service is what I'm going to say about real experience right now.
Great answer. I love that. And one more question from my end is, how is your revenue model going to look? So are you thinking maybe just the students would purchase this at home as a one-time thing? Are they paying a subscription fee? Because I know obviously once you're out of high school, you don't really need this service anymore. Are you planning to license it to schools who can then get it to all students regardless of what they can afford?
Corey, you can speak on that.
We're planning to do a one-time subscription for your whole lifetime. And council could, or school could buy that too. They could buy a package for the whole school. And that's what we're thinking to do.
Perfect. And does anyone from the audience have any questions or feedback?
Right, so Khushi brought up a great point, which is, so you don't really need this once you're out of high school. So what I was thinking was possibly, instead of having it a one-time price thing, if you have it as a recurring revenue model, then, because the thing is, you're onto a great idea here, because there's not going to ever be, like, people who are looking for this are never going to stop like existing, because after one batch of kids leaves high school, another batch comes in. So if you make it recurring revenue, then not only do you always have steady revenue, then you'll also offer your customers a more enticing offer, which like they could just stop using the service after they're done using it. Have you thought about that?
We did, but our goal is to help student and not make revenue. That was our goal at the start.
Yeah, I think that is why we were thinking about keeping it very low price and really going off of how the funding could really help us do that. Because at the end of the day, if you've used a service to accomplish something, at the end it is not a waste of money. You see what I'm saying? So if you're not using it anymore, I guess we have this policy of refunding if you're not satisfied with the product, but I'm pretty sure if you've used the product all your 3 years of taking AP courses, then you're past the deadline, of having to get that money back, because it's like buying a book outside. If you buy a book and you're done reading it, you're done using it for like a English class or something, at the end of the day, you have the book, So it can be a resource you can just pass down to other people if you want it to be helpful,
That was also a great perspective and way to look at it. One last question for me was, so you said that, your main mission is to help students rather than make large amounts of profit. So with the profit you do make, then what are you planning on doing? Is it just going to be revenue and then you can just, keep that? Or are you planning on putting it towards R&D, which I should actually define? That stands for research and development. So that's usually when entrepreneurs or companies take part of their profit and then put it back into the cycle of improving their product. So maybe in your case, that might be updating your content or just making it a more user-friendly experience. So what do you plan on doing with your revenue?
That is exactly what I was thinking about, because like I just said, the experience now is not the same as back then. and we don't want to make profit out of it. We want it to be a helpful tool. So if let's say we graduate college, we graduate high school, and we don't have any use for those AP books anymore or anything, but it's just something we've put in place that can be used to, like you said, update the content and make it better and more accessible, I guess, as time goes on.
That sounds amazing. Does anyone have any more questions? All right, if not, we can move on to your group, Christian. They will be the final group that are going today.
Okay. Let me just screen share for a bit. Oh, sorry, one quick second. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Okay. And then. Oh, okay. All right. So first off, I just got a question. So for you guys, how many of you guys go to concerts but can't go because of COVID or because it's too pricey? You just put in the chat. I'm talking about music concerts. Okay. So basically, so the problem is pretty much because of COVID and music fans and celebrities have not been doing concerts pretty much often in person anymore because of that, and also it's too pricey, and also because celebrities have not been making money off concerts because that's how they pretty much get rich and all that. And also music fans cannot enjoy them pretty much because of that. So our solution is our VR application called Concerts VR. So basically, this product will help celebrities create their own concert and stream it into a VR headset if they want to do it. So, and then our product is basically much unique because we have multiple servers. Like, since if there's too much people, like there's like too much like bandwidth going on. So basically, we have multiple servers, and each server contains like a different singer, or pretty much a different singer. So people don't have to go all in one big one, and that way the server will crash really. And then and also the VR app also has a store in each server so that people can buy merchandise and have it delivered to them in person. And then our pricing, basically our pricing is like pretty much like, so it's a one-time purchase of like $20, and then there's also a little bit of a subscription of $9.99 so we can add more features to our app and also more content so that we can provide a more immersive experience. And also we provide listener support for fans so that they can support their favorite singers. And I also put a website right there, like a test website. And that's it.
Awesome. I am genuinely blown away by this. I know you guys had 15 minutes to put this together, and I love how you put together the whole visual aid and like the mock website. And I think that's super great for a pitch. And obviously, if you all had more time, I really recommend doing that for any actual pitch that you might do for an investor. And you covered all the details pretty good. And I like how you began by engaging the audience. Also, side note, I love your product. I would actually purchase it. Please make this a thing. But I guess my one question to you is, at the beginning, you said that the issue, or one of the issues, in addition to the pandemic for people, is that concerts are too pricey, and for that reason, it's difficult to go. And virtual reality, or at least today, is known to be a pricey product. So how does your product, I guess, deal with that? And does your product differ? Because, you know, you're still going to the concert, whether it's not in person, you're still seeing this performer. So how does that work?
Okay, so you're asking like how like we're sorry, so you're saying like how we plan to. Oh, because you're saying that VR is like too pricey, and then how are they gonna do it without one?
So how are you planning on bringing that pricing point down for the VR? So when you're manufacturing it, it might cost a lot, because that it costs a lot to manufacture VR in today's world. So how are you going to help lower those prices so it's still affordable for your target market?
I'm so sorry. I kind of almost got a little bit confused. So
Okay,
I understand.
let me try like re-explain what I'm thinking. So basically you're saying that a reason that people might not go to concerts is because they're pricey, right?
Exactly.
But you know, today if you were to purchase a VR headset or something like that, that's also pretty pricey,
Oh yeah.
right? So how are you going to account for that? How are you going to account for the price of the VR in your product?
Okay, now I understand. Okay, so basically our plan is like doing like a little bit of a cross-platform also. Like we could do like VR, and also like also your PC as well. So that could help that could help over like reduce the cost for it. And then also um we also plan to do like a how can I explain this? Also like oh, you can also do it from your phone as well. Say I have an Android phone. You can do it from your phone as well.
Awesome. I think that's a great idea. Does anyone in the audience have anything to add to that, or any questions?
I have a question. So, in trying to recreate that concert vibe through a VR, because we know sometimes people can get carried away with VR and end up hurting themselves, or, not really taking into account their surroundings and hurting others as well. So, how do you account for that?
So so you're saying like how
Yeah,
it
how the VR does sometimes cause a little bit of damage, especially if you're trying to recreate concert vibes, I guess.
oh it's like so how like people can adapt to like how to adapt to their surroundings.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so basically basically what we're trying to do is like like a little bit of a so basically our app is not pretty much like we are streaming a concert, but basically we have like our own virtual like a virtual stage really. And then but basically we're trying to sorry, I'm trying to explain this as clearly as I can. Oh man, I really had it, but I forgot.
That's totally okay. That's totally okay. If it comes to you, just put it in the chat. In the meantime, if anyone has any other questions that they want to get out there, go ahead. All right, if we don't have any more questions, I think that concludes all the presentations. Is there anyone that still needs to go? All right, so that does conclude today's Build a Business workshop. Thank you all so much for coming. I know, before I forget, some of you asked for my contact details if you guys want to talk later if you have any more questions or anything. I'll put a link in the chat real quick. It has some of the platforms that I use most for business. If you don't use any of those, I also put my email on there. So feel free to just take a picture of that or click on the links or something. I'd love to meet all of you outside of this workshop as well. I will stay behind. I know some of you guys had some great questions about like my product or just entrepreneurship in general. So if you want to stay behind and do like a little Q&A, I'm here for it. If you have to go also, I know it's late, so have a great rest of your day.
Hey, Khushi, is it okay if I ask a couple questions?
Of course.
So I actually recently started a business. It's e-commerce. It's called Relax First LLC, and it's a stress relief related business based on off of Amazon. And I just had a couple specific questions and just like general advice for someone starting out, if you will.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so the first one was so far I've tried out one product which didn't do too well, but basically I was thinking of having different product lines or just having different products in general. Which do you think would be more sustainable or profitable, having like a couple different versions of one product and different product lines like that, or just general products?
Yeah, so one of the holes that I've seen a lot of businesses fall down is trying to have too many products. I think especially when you're starting off a business and you're still growing your brand to make it a very well-known and reliable brand, one thing that you really should focus on is just finding what your winning best-selling product is and then taking that to the next level. And then if you see another product for a product line fit, add it then. But definitely when you're getting started, I think it's one product should be what you go by. That's what I've seen most successful businesses do from my experience. You mentioned that your product didn't do as well as you hoped, and that's completely okay. I think some of the things that we talked about today, maybe addressing those pain points, reevaluating your target market, or maybe even going all the way back to your problem statement and value hypothesis are some great steps to take when you're just doing an analysis on your own. If you feel like you've done a good enough analysis on your own and you're still not sure why your product isn't successful the way you'd hoped, I think it's a great idea to go out into your target market and do some sort of way of gathering feedback from them. So whether that be a survey, a mock website, anything where you can get their thoughts, that would be great. So maybe ask them about some of the most important things. Maybe start by asking, would you purchase my product? Yes or no? If they answered yes, perfect, you found a customer. If they answered no, then maybe follow up with, what's the issue? Is it the pricing point? Is it just the product itself? And then get their feedback on it. Because I think once you figure out what is the most appealing to your target market, your sales are really going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I think the main mistake I made was I didn't really differentiate from competition. I just made it look a little bit different. So that's definitely a learning over there.
Yeah, for sure. If you have something that makes your product stick out compared to competitors, really, really focus in on that, because if it provides financial or sustainable related benefits, especially, consumers are going to love that.
Yeah. And for my second question, I was just so a lot of business mentors that I follow are talking about you have to also take out some money from the business once it starts generating revenue, so that one, you could keep yourself motivated, and two, just have some funds in case the business ever goes under. But some others also tell me in these early stages, because right now, especially because I'm in high school, I really don't need to pay any bills. So others have said that you should take all your profits and reinvest into really scaling the business really quickly. What's your standpoint on that?
So I think when it comes to that, it really comes to determining your own circumstances and where you hope to take your business. So, like you mentioned, you're a high school student. Do you want to continue this business in the long run? Are you hoping to pay for college sometime soon? For me personally, the money that I get, the funding that I get, a lot of it I I put it all aside. I don't know exactly what I want to do with it yet, but I know that I want to come up with an approximate breakdown of this is what I'm going to keep to, set aside for future funds, and this is what I want to keep to put back into the R&D of the business. So I think definitely when you're getting started, if you don't have a lot of other capital from investors or like family and friends, it's a great idea to take that revenue and put it back into your business. But if you have solid investors that are willing to put solid amounts of money into it, and if you have other sources of funding, it might be okay to set it aside. So just try to sit down and really do an analysis of that, and then figure out a personal breakdown for yourself.
Okay, great, thanks. And any general advice for me starting out?
I said this a little bit earlier in the workshop, but I think one or like two of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten are fail early in your business, because as much as it sucks to fail, if you fail early, you're going to be successful in the long run, and you're just going to keep on learning from your mistakes. And then speaking of learning, the other best piece of advice I would say I've gotten is to keep learning. There are going to be times where you feel like your product is successful, you're successful, like you know it all, you're the best one in the market, but trust me, there's always someone that you can keep learning from. So surround yourself with good mentors, and other people that are possibly could be partners for your business, or even competitors. There's a lot you can learn from competitors. And also just keep your eye open for opportunities, because the opportunities are endless to grow your business. So you might have a successful product, but there's always some way you can improve it.
Great. All right. Thanks so much for today. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming. Does anyone else have any questions?
What type of businesses do you think people should get into?
So I think this might sound like a very vague answer, but I think you should get into the business that you're passionate about, because I think anyone has the potential to make any kind of business work as long as you're passionate about it, you're confident in yourself and your mission, and you have a plan to make it work. I think one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is when someone asks them, what business are you in? The majority of people say, I'm in the technology business. And that's so vague. There's so many things that can fall into the technology business. Like for me specifically, when someone first asked me that question, I would probably say I'm in the technology business. But after really figuring out what my product is and what my mission is, I would say I'm in the irrigation business, or, I'm in the water sustainability business. So I think it's really figuring out what you're passionate about and taking that to the next level. Any other questions? Let me read what Kaylana put in the chat real quick. Yeah. So if I'm understanding correctly, I think your question is, how did you know that, or how did I know that my business was right for me? So I think I made sure that it was something that I really have a passion for, and something that I know that I can really scale to the next level. And I went through a lot of prototypes, a lot of testing before I really figured out what my business was and what it is I wanted to sell to others. And that's okay. Your first idea might not be your final idea. And actually, I think that's great that that's showing that you've made a lot of progress along your journey. When I first created my product, it was a science project. It was not a business. And I think surrounding yourself with people who can really show you the potential of your ideas is also a great way to know that, you should take your innovation to the next level and turn it into a business. Hopefully that answered your question.
It did. I actually have another question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So as being a CEO, how do you manage your time, as well as your personal time, as well as finding time to do all the things that is necessary for you to run your CEO, as well as also being a junior in high school?
Yes, that is a fantastic question. And time management is definitely something that I struggled with, starting this journey. It was just a lot to balance all of this. But you know, once you do something that you love, it doesn't really feel like work. It becomes a part of your lifestyle. And I also think just knowing your priorities, I know sometimes everything can feel really, really overwhelming. But for me, you know, some of my biggest priorities are school, my business, and then spending time with my family and friends. And then, of course, self-care. Those are my top 4 priorities. And what I like to do is just, I have a yearly like calendar with little boxes, like really old school, but I like to plan out at least a brief agenda of what I want to accomplish each day. They don't have to be very elaborate grand goals, because you know your short-term goals are helping you reach your long-term goals. And I think just having those little accomplishments every day help me stay motivated, and they also help me manage my time because I know what I need to get done beforehand. And it also helps me make sure that I'm prioritizing all the things that I want, and I'm not getting distracted. Any other questions? All right, if there are no more questions, thank you all for staying till the end. Once again, my contact information is in the chat if you come up with anything later, and it was a pleasure to meet all of you.
Alrighty, everybody. If there aren't any more questions, we're going to end it here for tonight. If you need to contact me or you need to, reach out, we have some contact information in the chat, and then you can also email me at madeline.dunn@nshss.org. So feel free to reach out if later down the line you realize you lost the contact information, you need me to resend it to you. I have it as well, so you can also just email me and I can send that information to you. If you can't remember my email, just email the regular NSHSS information email, and that email will find its way to me. Just mention that you were at the Build a Business workshop and we can connect. But for now, that is all. Thank you so much for coming. And have a nice evening. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom meeting. But thank you for coming, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye, everybody.